Hey everybody, Brian Good here, the latest on your Storm Talk as we head into this Tuesday. By the way, look at all the look at all this makeup, curling iron, all this stuff here from Christy Dutton. This is her little makeup area. Since we got the new set, we are waiting for our new makeup area to be done. She's gonna be mad at me for posting that. It's a good thing she's in the other room. All right, let's talk about the setup here as we head into later this week, and especially for the weekend. We've been trying to give you the earliest alert heads up about this for a while. I was talking about this last week, by the way, and we are still going to hammer out some details, and there's still a lot to gauge on this and dissect, basically, because there's a lot of moving parts, but there's a lot that can set up here for problems with flooding, and that's why we make sure everybody stays informed and stays close to the forecast as we evolve with these changes. Two areas to watch out for. One, of course, being that low pressure that is currently over the Panhandle of Florida. You know, if this were to dip into the Gulf, I mean, the Gulf is by all means ripe for surface development to take place out of this low pressure, but we don't foresee that happen at the moment. The circulation is actually more onshore. It eventually will work its way back into Louisiana and Mississippi as we head into the next, I would say, 48 hours. But still, the heaviest of rain right over the ocean where it's feeding on that very warm water at the moment there, but very tropical scenario. But notice the lack of moisture in the northern side, and that's key because a lot of this, as I mentioned yesterday, is being blocked by all this shower and thunderstorm activity. So the only moisture really that we will get the next couple of days is actually from way out here in the Atlantic that is being streamlined over the Smoky Mountains and the Appalachians into our area. And that is where we're going to find enough moisture pooling in the area to get some showers and thunderstorms to develop, especially when the winds come down off of the plateau and the Appalachians in eastern Kentucky, and as they go downward. That's when we will likely see potential here for maybe some cumulus clouds and thunderstorms over southern Indiana and northern Kentucky. So I'll be interested to see the cumulus field on the satellite image as the day wears on. And then we got this front that's moving in from the west. It is going to pool the low north and its moisture with it. And then we've got to deal with the stalling effect this front is going to have as it approaches. So I'm going to show you the WPC maps, Weather Prediction Center, because they really tell the story. Here we go as we head into the upcoming Friday time frame. How to get my bearings right. Here's the front, multiple low pressures along it. And we've got, of course, the trough is how they're deplecting that tropical low, by the way, here in the Gulf area. Becomes more of an open wave. It loses a little more of its circulation, but still a lot of moisture with it. So here we go. So we head into Friday. Saturday, the low pressure is moving in on our area, southern Indiana. There's the front. Another low waiting to ride along the front across Texas. That moves in as we head into Sunday. Still got the front in the area. As we head into Monday, still in the region. So you see the problem here. This front is like a train track. And where it sets up shop is key because we're going to have multiple areas of low pressure. Not only do we have the tropical low initially, which is why the rain chance surges to about 80% on Saturday. It's that first initial pool of tropical moisture that will likely send a rain chance to the high area. Then after that, it will highly depend on the timing and the location of the front and these low pressures that will ride along, these little short waves that will track along the front. And there'll be several that will be moving in across the Rockies, even south of the Rockies will dip into this flow. And boy, if this is a wintertime, you Bots fans would be loving this. This would be a really interesting track. Although, knowing our luck, it would be a track where it'd be all rain in Kentucky and heavy snow in Illinois and Indiana, which likely is it would be based on this kind of setup. Anyway, we got to nail down the front location because the Canadian model still wants to push the front all the way down, not all the way to Georgia, but at least the Smoky Mountains, which would keep the rain chance just to the southeast corner wave country at best and give us a break at least by late Sunday into Monday. But the Canadian, especially, and the GFS trending on the idea this front is not going to go anywhere. So that's one headache we got to figure out is the timing and the location front. Now the next question I'm getting is, okay, what about severe weather? Well, there are some factors against severe weather. There's a couple factors for. The only thing really for, we got moisture, but there's not a lot of wind aloft. Now you will get some wind shear with these little lows packing through, like this one here on Sunday, the GFS is showing little pockets of wind that can move through. Wouldn't roll it out. The thing is, the ground is going to become saturated. It already is saturated, but we're going to add to that. So really, a 40 to 50 mile per hour wind gust can still cause tree damage. We may not have severe thunderstorm warnings at all for this setup for the weekend, but we may get trees coming down and power outages because the ground is so saturated. So that is something to keep in mind as we head through the upcoming weekend and early next week with this kind of a deal. But as far as organized severe weather, it just doesn't look likely for that very reason, the fact that we don't have a lot of wind energy to work with here. There is some instability, again, on the southeast part of where these lows track, so yes, there could be potential here for some damaging winds in a few cases, but I really think it's going to be a situation where I think a lot of us will be surprised how much trees can fall in a weaker wind field, about 40, 50 miles per hour. So, severe threat, not overly concerned about it. We'll monitor that. Another thing, too, to keep an eye on here that is actually against severe weather is a lot of moisture. We're very saturated. The green line is this is the sounding, by the way, in Louisville, and this is the ground. Up here is the planes fly, okay, at the very top. And what we're looking at here is the temperature and the moisture. Temperature is red, moisture is green. When they're smack on top of each other, it is a saturated atmosphere. That means very heavy rain, for one thing. I mean, this is a very heavy rain sounding for the area. But you don't have a lot of dry air. When we get pockets of dry air in the mid-levels, the evaporative process there creates strong downburst winds and damaging winds, and that's when severe weather becomes more of an issue for several of us, several counties, potentially for damaging winds. But the sounding is showing it's so saturated, there's not a lot of concern here for that potential. So again, this looks to be just a heavy rain scenario. In fact, WPC has already issued the rain totals. This is a 7-day total, keep in mind. This includes anything we pick up even today. But a 7-day total all the way through Tuesday morning is showing, in general, when you look at the legend here, about 2 to 4 inches of rain across wave country. And the reason why, again, the tropical low, you see it getting pulled north, and then we've got the stalled front. And WPC, just like all the rest of the meteorologists here, are trying to figure out the exact timing of these lows that'll take us all the way through Monday and Tuesday. I will say this, the Euro is even trying to take this threat all the way into Thursday of next week. Ugh, we don't want that. All right, so not trying to alarm you guys, saying, oh, it's going to be mass flooding, you know, we're going to end up with situations where we got to evacuate people, and nothing like that, all right? But you need to be aware if you live in a flood-prone area, if your basement has a tendency to flood, if you live near a creek that floods out, those kind of things. Now is the time to think about that. And what can you do to prepare for this weekend, just in case the scenario does pan out. And let's hope that we get some breaks in between each one of these little waves that move through, enough breaks to keep the flooding, especially flash flooding threat, to a minimum. That will be our saving grace there. But if they're all bunched up together, and we don't get many spacing opportunities here between, especially Friday night all the way through Tuesday of next week, then we've got problems. All right, that's it for now, guys. We'll see how this all looks tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out.